All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Table Talk. This week's topic is motivating yourself and your child. We have two panelists here today, both Faith and Angela. And just so that we're clear, anytime you have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and we will work them into the conversation. And then just so everyone is also aware, it's a little bit different than normal on my end. I am going to have myself muted in between when I am talking. So we'll get started first off, though, with asking both Faith and Angela why you got started homeschooling.
Okay. I'm Angela, and we've been homeschooling since the beginning. My girls are 10 and 12, and we homeschool because we wanted to instill our values into our children. We wanted to give them the gift of time and just kind of teach them on their own pace, and then just also to spend time together as family.
All right. Well, the reason I homeschooled with my husband is because we wanted to do some of the similar things that you talked about, Angela, instill our values, be close as a family. And when I looked around, I didn't see a lot of close families around me. And I thought, well, the families that I do see that are close, they kind of have to spend time together. They have to make memories together. They have to kind of do life together a little bit more. And they happen to be the homeschool families where I saw closeness and I saw a greater sense of community. My husband and I also decided that big brains weren't everything, and that even though our kids were in gifted programs and qualified for all these wonderful things in the public school system, we took them out because we wanted them to have also a moral value system, and we wanted to be strong influences. Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you guys both. So we'll go ahead and get started with some of the questions on motivation. So what's the most difficult thing for you to motivate yourself in to do?
Get out of bed get up first thing in the morning. I mean, it really does start with that, just waking up and just having a good attitude about the day. I'm a pretty motivated person, I think. So for me personally, if I've got a goal, like I'm going to do what I need to do to reach that goal. And my goal is to take care of my girls. I mean, that's, my main goal every day. I'm a stay-at-home mom. There are moms who work and dads who work who homeschool. So that's not a prerequisite, but, I always say, I don't need an alarm because someone's going to wake me up in the morning. I've tried to wake up before the girls, but someone's always up early, even if I set my alarm earlier, So really just having a positive attitude about the day. You don't know what the day is going to hold, and just to wake up, be thankful, grateful, and you can have your plan, but, kind of be open to what might go on the rest of the day, and don't let it derail your entire day.
Mm-hmm. I would say the biggest challenge is making a good schedule and sticking to it. Sometimes individual lesson planning can be challenging. And I would say another challenge for motivation is just keeping my house really clean and orderly.
Oh, yeah.
I tend to enjoy doing projects, but as far as like cleaning and just really placing that as a super high value, cleanliness and orderliness, I'm moderate in that department. I'd rather go do a project or let's go for a hike instead. And I place high value on experiences. So that would be a challenge for me as far as motivation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what about your children? Is there anything that is kind of difficult or was kind of difficult for you to motivate them to do?
I think for me, so right after breakfast, I like to jump into when they're doing Awana is, we do our breakfast and Bible time, and then we jump into Awana, and it's I don't want to do Awana, but it's well, let's just get started and I think just getting started in whatever the next thing is. And I'm big on not trying to make things feel like chores, because if they feel like, well, you have to do this before we go do the fun stuff. And I know we'll talk about this. I think there's a question later related to this. It's like, well, I want them to feel like learning is part of the fun stuff, not let's get through this boring, gross stuff so we can go do fun things. So I don't want to come with them with that attitude that, this isn't the fun stuff. And so I think just getting them started, I mean, there can be a goal at the end, after this, we'll all go outside or something, but it's all good. I don't want them to think that one is necessarily better than the other. So just getting started, staying on track. We have more of a routine instead of a schedule. So it's not like at 11 o'clock, we need to be doing, this thing, because I think for us anyway, that just adds added stress. So if we just know breakfast went longer today, and then next we're just going to go on and do the next thing. I think having that schedule or routine helps with motivation, because what's going to come next. Even if you don't want to fold the laundry next, but you just know, that's what's going to come next. And after the laundry, we're going to go outside. Everyone's going to like different things, but yeah, just getting started and knowing kind of where you're going to.
Mm-hmm. As far as a struggle with motivation for kids, I would say doing chores is not always very exciting. I would say doing catch-up work with school is not very exciting. And so we're just identifying some challenges here. And then later on, we'll talk about some ideas about how to overcome those challenges.
Are there any time of year that is even more difficult than normal? Maybe, I know, Angela, you guys tend to homeschool basically all year round. So is summer a little bit more difficult for you too, because, maybe their friends that are in public school districts have the entire summer off, or around the holidays or anything like that, that's a little bit more difficult?
I think when the weather is nice, or on the opposite spectrum, if it snows, because you got to take a snow day. But, there's a joke with homeschoolers that we take Sundays, because when the weather is nice, we want to get outside, we want to do those hikes and, and things like that. So, if the weather is nice, we'll start with a breakfast picnic just out in the backyard. And so it's hard to want to come back inside after that. And sometimes we'll be outside for like 3 hours, and just they're doing their thing, and we're not doing anything structured necessarily. And so it's like, I gotta get it, I gotta do the laundry. I'm thinking about my list, I gotta do the laundry and pay the bills. And, I've even brought bills outside so I can work on stuff while they're playing, but so when the weather's nice and we're just hanging out at home, it's kind of hard. Like, we got to transition back in the house, to take care of some things. December is a busy time for us, Christmas, and we like to go see the Nutcracker. There's just a lot of community events going on and stuff. And so I've done it different ways in the past, where we still kind of stay busy with friends and the co-op continues and things like that. And then I've done years where we haven't, where we might meet that first week of December, and then that's it as far as structured things go. And I like it better, I think, when we just kind of have our party and stuff at the beginning of the month, and then the rest can be for family time. That doesn't mean that we don't see friends at all, during December, but it might be more, hey, let's all go to the Christmas tree farm, or, less structured kind of things, just because there's so many other things going on. Learning is still happening, of course, through all those things. But so I would say December and the summer. I think I've noticed with my group as the year has gone on, because I run a co-op, I feel like people kind of start checking out like springtime, like the parents and the kids. It's just, I don't know. It's like, we're getting near the end, like April, it's like, we know the end is in sight, kind of thing. But, and again, it just might be where we live. I mean, because we do have the seasons, it's a weather thing. I don't know, but I feel like spring comes like, okay, we're kind of done.
I totally agree with you, Angela. I think springtime is challenging. You just have to get a little bit more creative, maybe a few more presentations and outdoor activities are good motivators. But definitely, I would say Thanksgiving through Christmas is really challenging to keep the focus. So um, allowing some flexibility in the planning is important. Maybe not, maybe expecting, 3 or 4 days of productivity rather than 5 days would be, just be an adjustment, during those times, or taking time off and saying, our priority is family right now. And that's part of the plan, and that's okay.
Yeah. Holly, if I could just add into when we have these times where it feels like we just want to go totally off our routine and totally off our schedule, that can mess with your motivation, because, it's like, we're just going to lie around, we're going to, enjoy the weather. And there are days, for that. But if you're doing that for long periods of time, that could, things are going to start stacking up either, in your home or with your schooling. So, I still try to have that routine, even though the routine may be different than what it was, say, during the fall. But I think it's important to still have that, so you still have some motivation there, and it's not just a free for all every day, when you wake up.
Yeah, great. So what types of things do you do to motivate yourself? Let's go back to you guys as parents, rather than separate from the kids for a moment.
I think that's really healthy to separate from the kids, because it can get to a point where you're so focused on them that you forget what you need as a parent and as a teacher. So really identifying what are healthy things. I know for me, going shopping by myself is very motivating. I would say getting help cleaning my house is very motivating, a couple times a month to have someone kind of come through and help with some deep cleaning is very motivating for me. Music is very motivating. Having a hobby that's not tied to the kids is motivating, and makes me remember, what I appreciate, and that I'm an individual too, not just a parent or not just a teacher. So yeah, I think it's important to even plan dates, where you go out with friends or you go out with your husband or significant other regularly, to keep your mental health, emotional health up. Yeah.
For me, Holly asks these hard questions because I don't usually, I could talk all about the kids and all of that kind of stuff. I'm a pretty driven person. So and I'm competitive. And so I'll compete against myself, when I do things. Let's see, last time I did this, it took this long, or whatever. But I definitely, with my husband being home, working from home more, we get a lot more time together. So just taking that time, this is daddy's time now, which is different for us because he wasn't home a lot before. And so for me, I joke when I say, when you're home, I don't get a lot done, because I'm a big focus on the, productivity for the day, but I enjoy the time with him. And I just, I stop what I'm doing and we sit and we get to just hang out. And so, so that's been really, really nice. And it's like, so what if, this didn't get put away today? That can happen tomorrow. The relationships with your family are so important. And even though I am very task driven, I've had to learn over the years, especially, homeschooling and having the kids home all the time, that you just have to let some things go. And I think you can easily unmotivate yourself by saying, oh, look at all of this I have to do, and look at all of that, that I have to do, and just, focus on the little things that you did, that you did that day. And, again, they don't have to be task oriented. It could be, you took 5 minutes for yourself, and I'll just step out back and put on my favorite song. The neighbors probably hear me singing, it's just me out there. I'm just taking, I call it cortisol resets, just some time away. So and it motivates me for the rest of I usually do it before dinner time. And that motivates me for the rest of the day. I'll go out, I'll listen to the birds. Sometimes it's, just listening to the birds, having a cold, tea or whatever outside. And that just motivates me to, to kind of, I don't want to say get through like it's a negative way, but, we do need to like kind of build ourselves up and to get through the rest of the day. Journaling has really worked for me when I'm having, typically I do it more when I'm having tough times. And I just need to like get, my feelings out. So that's good for, for my mental health. It's not that I'm not talking to anybody about it, but just to be able to get it down right when I'm thinking about it, it might be 11:30 at night. And then, going back and reading that and seeing, how far you've come, if it was something that you were struggling with or something you were unsure of, which way should I go, and taking care of something. But just getting it out on paper, or you can, type it, but has been helpful for me and motivating me just in life in general.
Another thought on that topic of motivating myself, one thing that really helped me is to write down why I'm homeschooling.
Yeah.
My husband and I to talk about that and say, why are we doing this? Let's write it out. And then what are our goals for the kids? There's these, big, broad brushstroke ideas there, but then they break down each year. What are the goals this year? Academically, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And we do kind of a breakdown of the yearly goals for each of the 4 kids. Obviously, I'm not doing that now because my kids are raised and we are empty nesters now. So I have a different perspective on things, but it helps to kind of remember why you're doing what you're doing as far as keeping your motivation, especially on days when the work is high and the thanks is low, just like all jobs at times.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us, we have that in our head, but a lot of us don't have it on paper, and so to have it, and I mean, I would print it out and put it, with your daily calendar or, wherever you're going to see it as a physical reminder. We try to keep I try to keep a lot of lists in my head, and it's so much better when I have it on paper. But, when you're having that tough day, a lot of us probably have inspirational quotes around our house or Bible verses or something. Put that somewhere, where you can see it. So when you're struggling, you see it and you're like, yes, this is why I'm doing it. It's hard today, but these are the reasons, and I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah.
Great. What about how do you motivate your kids to complete something that the work that you've set for them, whether it's related to academic or not, or just motivate them in general? I know that when I was growing up, getting up was very difficult for me. And I had to be at public school. So, I mean, I had a strict timetable and it was still tough to do it. So how do you guys motivate your kids to work?
I think setting the expectations in the beginning of the year, letting them know just with enthusiasm, because of course attitudes are contagious, what you're excited about, what the overview of kind of what they're going to be able to learn about, and kind of selling them on the ideas that they're going to have a great year, and just, let them know it's going to be a great year and they're going to learn a lot of things. They're going to have opportunities to make some decisions and pick some things out, to go on field trips. And I think kids need a daily printout they need clear expectations. And I think a daily printout is one idea. Maybe somebody else uses another a method there, but like something like homeschoolplanet.com or some of those resources are really great as far as keeping track of all the schedules and home life and chores and everything in one place. And I think when kids feel well led, it gives them, increasing self-worth. They have a good workflow. They know exactly what's expected. And so as long as the expectations are reasonable, I think there's definitely a sense of accomplishment. There's intrinsic satisfaction that goes on when they accomplish their goals for the day, just like an adult. And I think as an adult and as a teacher, you need to set the example by doing that yourself and not just tracking what they're doing, but making sure that you're meeting your personal goals as well, and for the kids to see that, and making adjustments if there's too many goals at one time.
I was writing down Homeschool Planet. That's why I was writing that down while you were talking. My girls are not early birds, but they don't have trouble getting up in the morning. So I'm thankful that they take after me in that way. I do like that we have the flexibility though. Yesterday we were at Meadowlark Botanical Gardens for like the whole day. So we slept in a little bit today because we can. So that was nice. But I think what you were saying, for some kids, like I'm a list person, not everyone is a list person. So it's cute. They see me making my list and they'll start these are the list of things I have to do today. And they'll make their own little list of things that, that they want to accomplish for the day. And inside I'm like all giddy. I'm so excited, but that doesn't work for everybody and that's okay. But I think for them, and I like to do, I love looking, at the yearly, and we usually do that, before the school year starts, like what kind of things do you want to do? Involving the children, I think, is big on keeping them motivated, because one, they feel like they have a say. And they do. If you say, do you want to clean your room or take the trash out first? They're still going to do what, you want them to do, but they have a choice. I ask my girls, what kind of field trips would you like to do, for the school year? And I have a co-op, so I teach classes. And I'll say, what kind of things do you want to do with your friends? Because it's, a totally different environment than us sitting at home learning about something. And we also do like a weekly meeting, kind of like Sunday or Monday. I've explained this before. Monday's part of our weekend for us, just because of the way our life rolls. So we'll talk on Monday and we'll say, this is kind of what we're looking at, for the week. And they just, they know, I think just for kids, for, a lot of grownups are this way too, knowing what's coming next, gives you some stability with, which is good. But, I don't say, and I don't know if this goes with another question, like, I don't say, if you don't do this, we're not doing that. Like, I don't want to attach that to the schoolwork, because then it's feeling like it's a job, and I don't think all adults have great attitudes about their jobs either. Everyone's always looking for the weekend and it's Friday, and all of this kind of stuff. That's a whole nother topic, but I want them to really enjoy learning, and I don't want to say, well, if you finish this worksheet, hurry up and finish this worksheet so we can go outside, because then it's just like, okay, I'm done, kind of thing. And I really want them to really be absorbing and learning, whatever it is that they're doing. So for me personally, we don't do that, in our house. It's like, when you're done, you're done. But sometimes there are happy, maybe more preferable things after we take care of something else, after we fold the laundry, then you'll get to watch, some TV or something like that. But not everything is going to be, flowers and, whatever, but just to have a good attitude. Faith mentioned, attitudes are contagious. So if we come, with this, okay, get out your math book, no, it's not going to be fun for anyone, and we want, I say we, as my family, we want life to be enjoyable. We want learning to be enjoyable, and if you got to fake it some mornings, then, fake it a little bit, okay, let's get out our math books. I'm not saying you have to do cartwheels across the room, but just don't make it feel like it's a chore. And definitely, giving them some choice and some say. Even when they're younger, they can still pick, what animal do you want to talk about, in science or whatever. And then of course, definitely when they're older, they will be vocal, even if you don't ask them about what they what they like and what they don't like. But we would know from working in the home or outside of the home, if you don't feel motivated and joyful, then you're not going to want to do it. And I would argue you're not going to do the best job that you could if you have a bad attitude about it. So I think attitude is everything.
I think it's really huge. I've even had, when the kids were little, I had them go back to bed and say, everybody go back to bed for a while till I say get up, because everyone was grumpy and kind of fighting. And I said, we need to restart the day.
Yes.
We need to restart the day, and we need to think about our attitudes and make some better choices. And I'm going to make good choices too. So I include myself in the mix.
Mhm.
You know, I did when the kids were little. So it's kind of, you know, me referencing back. But I would say when the kids are older, as far as motivation, one of the neat things that we did is we sat around the table on Sunday evenings, and my husband would ask the kids what their schedule was, what their plan was for the week. And they had their day planners. Now this is, you know, a little bit older kids, not young children, but we got to hear from each of them what their plan was for the week, what they were thinking about. And it made them own their schedule. Like, well, I have this and I have that. And he would ask them if they needed any supplies or any help with anything. And it was neat for me because I would go last. I would listen to what they all said and then fill in any gaps as appropriate or needed. So that was really neat when the kids were older. Yeah.
That's great. And I know, Angela, you do something similar with your girls now because they like to get involved with the planning of your co-op.
They do, and they give me ideas, and you know, who knows what 10 and 12-year-olds like more than 10 and 12-year-olds, right? And so I'll say, you know, I want to do a game for this, you know, this event, and they're like, how about we do this, or we did this game at church and it was fun, or we did this game before, or yeah, I mean, books at the library. Hey, could you read this one to class? Like, this one looks really good. And so it's fun that they're, you know, they're taking ownership, was the word, you know, that Faith used, of their learning. And that's one of our goals. And, you know, in our families, that they take, you know, ownership. I feel like I mean, for some things I'm actually teaching them, but to see myself as a guide to just teach them to learn how to learn, you know, and then once they get that and they love it and they enjoy it, then the sky's the limit, you know, at that point.
Unless they become pilots and then, you know.
Right. And then outer space, I get, right? So,
great. Do you guys have any tips or, I mean, we've talked about some, but any additional tips or tricks for motivating yourself or your children?
I would say one of the first things I share with families with young children is the sandwich philosophy that I have. I said, you know what, if you look at life kind of like a sandwich, your top piece of bread is your morning routine, the bottom of the bread is your nighttime routine, and the filling is everything in between. And a lot of times you have one kind of sandwich, you know, Monday through Friday, and a different kind of sandwich filling. The filling changes on the weekend based on your plans and your commitments. So the idea of always having a morning routine, always having a nighttime routine is really healthy. When my kids were little, I had a clipboard and it hung on the fridge. And basically, as soon as my son was old enough to run the clipboard and check his sisters off, I taught him how to do that. But basically, you know, is your bed made? What does morning routine look like? And I had to spell it out. If I had my dream come true, it would look like the bed is made, the pajamas are put away, you know, they had breakfast, they brushed their teeth, they washed their face. What exactly is morning routine? And so I spelled it out, and then he would go around checking his sisters off, and I would see them, and I would just ask the kids, "Oh, how's your morning routine coming?" And I put it on them. This is your routine. I'm working on my morning routine. Yep, my bed is made. Yep, I brushed my teeth. And when they're smaller, constantly reinforcing the importance of morning routine and nighttime routine is just extremely healthy. You think of another analogy is the flower. The flower opens for the day, and then the flower closes at night. You know, we start our morning routine. This is what we do in the morning. This is what we do at night to kind of shut down the day. So that is a huge foundational principle that I am a firm believer in. Yeah.
So I was public schooled for my entire career. I loved it. But you remind my mom used to have a checklist for our morning routine. So, it's not just for, for homeschoolers, it's not just for kids, right? Either. But on the back of the door, there was like a little poster board, and it had, like the 5 things, make your bed, brush your teeth, your backpack's ready, you grabbed your lunch, all of, so it was a little different because we were leaving the house. But again, I'm just that type of person. I love lists. So I'm just like, check, going through, check. But that was fun, just to have that visual. It's like, oh, I forgot my water bottle, and so, I mean, yay, Mom, she was setting us up for success since the beginning, and that's what we're trying to do, with our children, whether you're public school, or homeschool or anything in between. And I think when we are showing, having that morning routine or evening routines and things, we're including self-care. We don't think about self-care for children because, like, we're taking care of them all the time. But, these are things, as you grow up, you're going to have to remember to, to brush your teeth and brush your hair. And so we're instilling self-care into our children too, and also, for us to set an example. I mentioned in one of the other talks, I'm doing all of the time. And, I was sitting down one day and they're like, Mama, like, why are you sitting? And it's like, well, because, Mama needs a break too. And they're like, well, you usually don't stop, kind of thing, so it's important for us to model that, to read books, to, take time to, play a game, just for me to step outside for a few minutes and no one bothers Mama right now. I mean, depending on the age of your children, of course. I'm not going to leave toddlers in the house by themselves and, go outside. But, and so, and we have these different stages of our lives, as the kids get older. In some ways things get easier, and in ways some things get harder because their problems are bigger in life. And oh, there was another thing I was thinking. Oh, for motivation. So I asked some of my friends, what do they do to motivate their kids, in tips and tricks? And so she said they kind of do more of unit learning through the month. And so the daughter gets to pick 2 themes for the month, and then the mom picks 2 themes for the month. And then they just kind of work their math, language arts, and all of the stuff around that. And so just real quick, if you don't know what unit learning is, so if she had picked the zoo, they'll be doing math, but maybe instead of, just saying, 5 times 2, you could say, 5 elephants, and they came in, but there's twice as many elephants tomorrow. How many? So you just kind of incorporate whatever the topic is into, and they could write about elephants and maybe do a science experiment about elephants. But so the daughter is motivated, she's looking forward to those 2 weeks that she gets to pick the lesson, and then she gets to learn about something that she might not have picked from what the mom picks. And so that's something that motivates them. I think also of us showing that we're learning with our children, if they go, why? So, okay. So yesterday I went to the gardens, and there's lamb's ear. It's a plant. It's really soft. It feels like a lamb's ear. It's pretty. All the kids were like, oh my gosh. So we were away from that area probably for a good 10 minutes. And one of the boys comes up to me and says, can you eat lamb's ear? I'm like, I don't know. So thank you, Google. We have our phones in our pockets. And so I looked it up, and we just kind of had this little mini, 3-minute lesson on lamb's ear and the medicinal purposes. And you can eat it. It tastes like, what did it say? Pineapple and strawberries. I don't know. It's like I never knew any of this stuff because, I was like, I don't know. And it's okay for us to tell our kids, I don't know. And you can make tea out of it. And it helps with like stopping blood and wounds, just like all of this stuff.
Really?
And so then everybody wanted to go back and get one to eat it. And I'm like, no, we're not, we're not eating the lamb's ear at the garden. Then that led into another discussion of, we don't know what they might spray on the garden, so we're just going to go walk through the garden, learning happens everywhere, but for us to just, it's, to stay along with them. I don't know, and I really try to go to books before I go to online sources. That's how I was raised, and I love, holding a book in my hand. Let's look it up in the dictionary. Let's look it up in an encyclopedia. But, that's where we were. I had my phone because we have plant books at home and things like that. Didn't bring them with us. But, I think parents feel like they need to have all the answers for everything. And we can't, and that's just, we talked about stress the other week, don't put that stress on yourself. We don't know everything. And I just want my children to also get this idea that we are always learning. You don't get to an age where you stop learning, you know, and that's why when people say to me, oh, when do you stop doing school? I'm like, how do you stop learning? Yeah, you know, I mean, you're learning until, you know, you die. I mean, hopefully, I mean, we get to a point where we're just, you know, we're always learning something. The opportunities are there. That's for sure, you know, and so I just, you know, we don't need to, and to have that joy and that excitement to bring that to the table, so to say, you know, with the kids, and it's not ho hum, you know, kind of thing. I mean, and I think you should be the most energetic about the subject that you don't like the most, and the subject your kid doesn't like the most, because, you know, if parents get the idea, you know, like I can tell you, I know my mom didn't really like math. I mean, it didn't affect me, but, you know, she helped me you know, the best that she could. But, you know, if she was like, oh, you're doing your math, we're like, that probably would transfer, you know, to me. But, you know, she just said that was like my least favorite subject, which is funny because that was one of my most favorite subjects. But, you know, just cause, I mean, you know, I'm not saying lie to your kids either. Okay. So don't say Angela said, you know, lie to your kids, but just to try to keep a positive attitude. There are things that happen in our lives that, you know, we don't like, but we can still choose to keep a positive attitude about it. Another thing to stay motivated is change where you're learning. You know, learning, you know, that's what I love about homeschooling. You know, we're not in a classroom at a desk for, you know, 6 to 8 hours a day. And true, public school kids do leave their room. I used to be, you know, a teacher in the public school, so I do know that. But, you know, we don't have to be at, you know, at the dining room table for 4 hours, you know. I wish I were where Faith was right now. You know, that kind of looks like where we were yesterday, you know. Go, you know, even if it's out to your own backyard, take a picnic blanket and go sit under the tree and read. You know, it doesn't have to be, okay, it's time to go to the table, it's time to do my math, you know, switch it up. And like, you don't want to create more you know, diversions and stuff, but you know, and it depends on your child, you know, your child best. But you know, hey, the weather's going to be nice tomorrow, we're going to plan to do math outside. What? Like, how cool is that? You know, kind of thing. We've taken stuff to the lake, you know, and it's like, we're doing class outside, you know, and then, you know, you have some, I don't want to say fun afterwards because the learning is fun, but you know, and then go walk around the lake or something. So I think switching it up helps keep you motivated, and it's not just the same thing all the time.
Great. I was going to also pipe up and say that the second thing that I usually tell people when they're homeschooling is to remember to fill the love bucket. Everybody has a love bucket and how they feel loved. And, you know, what is it? The 5 love languages is another good book that talks about that. You know, I've had a lot of energy. I'm a little bit more mellow now, but sometimes it didn't matter how much energy or enthusiasm or how driven I was. If I wasn't in tune to the different personalities of my kids, my son is quieter. He loves to read. You know, for him, sitting together, spending time together is really important. Gift, not so much. If I were to give him things, and it's important to kind of be in tune and study each child individually, you know, what makes them come alive, what makes them feel loved. Because if they feel loved in their, there's a lot of intrinsic motivation that follows that. I know that my husband also would take my kids out on dates to give them specific focused attention. And that was one way that he kind of helped fill their love bucket, because he was gone working during the week when they were younger. And so it was him being very deliberate to say, I'm going to focus on you and really listen to you. As they got older, they got to pick where the date was and the activity, and they had a budget. So they kind of learned about budgeting. But I think when people feel good on the inside, they feel encouraged. Motivation naturally follows.
Yeah, that's great. And just kind of going off of the 5 love languages, we do actually have a book at the library,
Hey.
the 5 love languages of children, and it's the secret to loving children effectively. So if anyone is
Oh,
interested in that, we have it.
you got it, right?
Exactly.
Holly, I also
Yep.
wanted to point out, I mean, some motivational charts, like sticker charts, things like that, that might work for our kids. I mean, I remember a public school teacher had that, like if you did your homework and you behaved in class. And again, me being competitive and, I was just like, I'm going to get my star, at the end of the week. And we had a chart, and then we got a certain amount of stars, you get something, and like, Faith was saying for her child, that might not be, so he would get a gift at the end. That might not be something that would work for him. So, you can have a different system for each of your children. And that's the nice thing, about homeschooling is you can do what's best, for your child. Another idea, so, it could be if, you had a great day, you did all your chores, you were obeying, you get a star for the day, or you get a marble in a jar. And then when the jar is full, maybe we go somewhere special. Or, we do movie night at our house every Friday. That's something that motivates me. I typically lately I don't have to cook because my husband's home, so he'll run and get the pizza. Like I can't justify like paying delivery, and all that stuff. So we usually make something at home. But with my husband home, he'll run out and he's my delivery guy. We'll get that pizza. But so that's the kind of motivation. I mean, I don't feel like just let me get to Friday because I don't feel like that. I love our lifestyle, and what we're doing, but it's just something to look forward to at the end of the week. And the kids know they get to pick out the movie, within reason. And I don't have to cook dinner, and so that's a nice, fun, motivational thing to look forward to. I don't tie that to anything, but you could, if we fill our marbles up, by the end of the week, maybe we'll have ice cream after the movie, whatever works, for your kid. It might be special time, if you can, depending on how many kids you have, when you get X amount of marbles or X amount of stickers, you get a mama date, so it's just, what works for your, or I'll buy that book, whatever, works for your child. So, I mean, I think it's okay to have things that are, like tangible, like things you can hold as motivation. I think you need to be careful with that though, to not do it all the time, because then it becomes expected. I made my bed, where's my prize, kind of thing. Because there are things that we have to do because we have to do them. I joke with my girls, I'm like, I don't get any prize for making dinner, so there are some things that we have to do to help the family run. We're all working together to help make things run the best way that they can. And we're a team, especially as they get older, they can do more things. But I mean, I've, there's nothing wrong with having like an incentive chart, a motivational chart. Again, I mean, the prize can be different for each child. So, and some children might not care about the stupid stars, but you just find, what works best. It might be an extra movie during the week, but there's nothing wrong with motivating them with things, but you want to start small because if you start big, then it's going to be hard to top it the next time.
I actually ran a store when the kids were really little, and they earned their little fake money and they went shopping at the store. And they were things that I probably would have gotten them anyway, eventually.
Right.
Some were not. They had a blast shopping at the store. It was much fun. But I would say for high school, no, that definitely would not work. No, and sometimes, it's the carrot that motivates us. Sometimes it's the prod behind us, and sometimes it's a combination of both. And a lot of times as they get older, and junior high, senior high, it's opportunities, it's extracurriculars. They want to be involved. They want to do those extras. And so learning to manage their time well to get the basics done so they can do more extras is definitely an incentive, and it's motivating. Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you, guys. Is there any questions about motivation or anything else that the topic has kind of brought up in terms of questions? get another moment or two to make sure. While I wait for that, I just want to say that my parents used some of those tips too, and I went to public school, or those tricks. One of them was a similar thing with the store is if we completed certain amount of things, we would get we used poker chips, but worth a different amount of money. And then we could redeem them whenever we wanted to for whatever. So just a little bit of how different kids can be. My brother would earn $5 and he would redeem it immediately. I waited until I had almost 100, and then I went and bought presents for Christmas for people. So like completely different type of thing, ways that we did it. But it was definitely a motivator to do some of the stuff that maybe not really wanted to, like cleaning the toilet.
Holly, can I share one more quick idea?
Yeah, of course.
So if you have like a jar and then like popsicle sticks and you write different little things on it, it might be, special for us. I'll just say, special dessert on movie night, or buy a book at the library book sale, things that they would like to do. And then if you had a jar of those, and then however you want to decide that they earn it, and then so they don't know what they're picking. And they go, you go pick a stick out of the, out of the jar, and they pick it out. And so they get some kind of like more of a surprise reward. So motivation doesn't always have to be like, that they know what it's going to be. And sometimes, I tell my girls too, I'm like, you never know like what, we'll be able to do. Like Monday is part of the weekend. So Friday is kind of more of like a free day where we do more of like our nature outings and things like that. But I say you never know what we'll have time for, if we can get, our other things done. And so, not necessarily having to tell them what it's going to be. Yesterday, we just had a really awesome outing. And so I pulled into 7-Eleven on the way home and got Slurpees, which like we never do. And so it happens like maybe 2 or 3 times out of the whole year. And so they're like, what are you doing? Because I should have gone straight, and I turned, and they're like, are we getting out? I don't know why they thought I was pulling over for something. I don't know. But so, they had no idea that was coming. They were so surprised and so thankful, for it. And it's just nice to kind of throw those little surprises in there too.
Yeah, great. So it looks like we have no questions. So thank you guys both. Any last minute things to add before we wrap up?
No, I mean, just again, like we've said before, take care of yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And, you just, when we have a good attitude and we're joyful, and, you can show your feelings. We have bad days. We have days we have to start over. I love the going back to bed idea, Faith. We call it redeeming our day, where I'm just like, this day is shot. I want to go to bed. I'm done, for the day. We stop, and we're like, we're going to redeem this day. We're going to do what we can. And, whether that's learning or cleaning or, whatever we have to do for that day, we'll stop, we'll pray, and, apologize if need be. And, and we move on. I told my husband I wanted to go to bed the other day because we were having a rough day. He goes, oh, maybe you could take a nap. I said, no, I don't want to like rest. I want to just go to bed. Like, I want this day to be done, and things got better. They don't always, but they got better. And some days will feel like a roller coaster, and you'll be exhausted at the end of the day. But again, you just go back to that list. Why am I doing this? Where's my motivation, right? Like, why am I doing this? And you go, you know what? Even the worst day is worth it, because this is why I'm doing it.
My last piece of advice would be to listen. I think it's easy to be in talk mode because you're teaching, you're leading, you're trying to make sure all these things happen. And especially if you tend to talk a lot, to watch that even more. But the importance of listening carefully, like active listening each day, is also very important. Listen to them read, listen to their stories, listen to them describe something, don't interrupt. Just really listen carefully because that's extremely empowering.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you both so much. So that is the end for today's. Our next table talk is next Thursday, July 1st, and the topic is going to be choosing the curriculum.
All right. Thank you.